So I'm Catherine Jostin, and I'm here with you tonight because I'm the founder-director of the Global Art Project for Peace. The mission of the project is to joyously create a culture of peace through art. The Global Art Project celebrates diversity and multiculturalism while at the same time as expressing the idea, we are all one. There have been 115,000 participants in 82 countries on all 7 continents, and the Global Art Project was nominated for a 2002 UNESCO Peace Prize. It's an international exchange that happens every 2 years. The Global Art Project, how it works is anyone throughout the world who wants to participate sends us their name and address, and we match them with a participant in another part of the world. Each participant creates a work of art expressing their personal vision of global peace and goodwill. During the first 3 weeks of April, participants share their art with their local community, and the last week of April, each participant exchanges their art with the person or group they were matched with, resulting in thousands of visions of peace and goodwill simultaneously encircling the earth. As a final part of the project, local communities often have exhibitions of the art that was created so that people in their local community can see all these visions of peace, diverse visions of peace created around the world. People are also encouraged to send us documentation of their artwork in the form of photos or videos, and we have a wonderful website that shows examples of these inspiring artworks for peace. We also print posters and have a postcard book of images and exhibitions of the art so that the art continues to inspire people around the world. Who can participate? Anyone, anywhere can participate. People can participate as an individual or as part of a group. And usually there's about half adults and half children participate, and usually about half individuals and half groups. On our brochure, we say, Global Art Project will match participants around the world, connecting people in the spirit of unity, without regard for race, culture, gender, age, nationality, belief, sophistication, or any of the categories which separate and divide, joining all together in the spirit of wholeness. Participating groups have included art councils, art centers and galleries, artist cooperatives, bank cooperatives, children's homes, children's museums, church groups, environmental clubs, families, fire stations, food cooperatives, hospitals, law firms, libraries, music and theater groups, neighborhood groups, seniors and women's clubs, youth programs. Any group can participate. I wasn't thinking about schools when I started the project, but it's really caught on in schools because it's a great way for teachers to teach not only art, but to have a meaning behind it and a cultural exchange. And we've had schools all the way from nursery schools and kindergartens through entire graduate programs that have participated. And some universities and colleges have created courses specifically for students to participate in the Global Art Project and to involve their local community. What kind of art can be created? Any art form that can be sent from one group or individual to another. So it can be audio tapes or DVDs of original music and performances. It can be literary art, visual art, any art form that can be sent. It doesn't have to be great art as long as it comes from the heart and expresses the idea of peace, love, and friendship. Yeah. Thank you. How the Global Art Project promotes peace through art. It connects people of diverse cultural backgrounds, providing exposure to new ideas and teaching that the world can be safe for diversity. It seeds the future with visions of peace, love, and friendship. It heals and transforms feelings of isolation and separation by providing a feeling of connection to the whole. It exemplifies in concrete form, we are all one. People can be different and unique, yet act together as integral members of one living organism, Earth. The Global Art Project helps people to see themselves as part of a worldwide community. to think about how they'd like the world and their future to be, to know that they can make a difference. It's not just leaders of countries that are responsible for peace, but everyone is, and then to take action for peace. Whenever I get finished giving a Global Art Project presentation, the very first question that people ask me is, how did you start the project? So I'll now tell you how I started the project. I'm an artist, and when I was in my early 20s, I had a really intense out-of-body experience. I was up very late one night contemplating the big question, who am I? And I suddenly heard a very shrill ringing in my ear, and it was louder and more intense than a normal ringing, and I knew something strange was going to happen. So I went into the bedroom and laid down on my bed, and immediately my consciousness was engulfed in a whirlwind of energy like being in the center of a tornado, and I was terrified. I was scared because I knew I was leaving this dimension, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to come back. And my fear brought me out of it. I was very angry at myself because I thought, well, here was a wonderful opportunity to learn something, but I was too afraid to go with it. So I promised myself if it happened again, I'd have the courage to go with it. Well, sure enough, it happened the next night, and I was again too afraid. But the third night it happened, I was able to control my fear enough to go down into this swirling vortex of energy. And I suddenly gave a mental call for help. And as soon as I did, I found myself speeding through space with planets, stars, galaxies all rushing past me. And my consciousness was heightened far beyond anything I knew to be possible. Eventually, I stopped, and a group of symbols slowly started floating by, and then another group of symbols floated by. And eventually, I came out of the experience, and when I did, I had a lot of knowings on many different levels dealing with time, space, and energy. And I always knew there was no death, but I knew even on a cellular level that there is no death, and we are all one energy vibrating together. Well, this was such a visual experience that I decided to go into visual art so that I would be able to continue having these experiences and have a form to put them in. I already had a degree in English because I loved to write, so I went back to school and got my BFA and my MFA in visual art. And as soon as we were left alone to make whatever art we wanted, this channeled body of art called Origin started coming out of me. And some of these images I'm going to show you are from the University of Arizona Museum of Art in 1987. And you're missing a lot of detail, like on here, between Origins and my name, there's a poem written. So there's a lot of detail you're missing, but at least you're getting a general idea of the scale of this artwork. And it's very large because it relates to the scale of the human body. So that when you stand in front of these pieces, it awakens you on a cellular level. And that's why it's the scale of the human body. This is frequency, and again, these are very, very large pieces. This is a detail of that piece. But this whole entire installation was saying three main things. We are all one, there is no death, we are not alone. And after creating this artwork for 12 years, the ideas were very theoretical and philosophical. And I thought it seemed like it's now time to do something to take these ideas and make them real in the world. And the artwork has continued even since that installation. But after doing it for 12 years, this was the very last piece I did before I started the Global Art Project. And this is a channeled writing that I received that is part of the poetry. There's poetry on the wall in between the sets of paintings. So in 1991, I received the inspiration to create the Global Art Project for Peace. And at the time, I didn't have any money, I didn't have any contacts, and I didn't have a computer. Back then, people weren't using computers, there was no internet. So I first borrowed $1,500 to print banners and brochures, because it's a very ephemeral idea, so I needed something tangible to make it real. And then I went to the downtown Tucson Public Library, where I live, and there's reference books of all the news media throughout the world. And I wrote up a press release and sent it to English language newspapers with the largest circulation in major cities throughout the world, not knowing what in the world would happen, but I started receiving letters from artists. And for the very first exchange, and it was printed in the Bangkok Post and other newspapers inviting artists to participate. For the first exchange in 1994, there were 3,600 people in 19 countries. I was only going to do it once because it was so difficult to do, but I started receiving letters from participants saying, you've got to do this again, and when you do, I want to help spread the word in my area. So it's now become a biannual event happening every 2 years, and we have about 250 regional coordinators around the world. Anyone can be a regional coordinator. They just help to spread the word and help to distribute brochures in their area. So I'd now like to show you some of the, a few examples of the many thousands of visions of peace that we've received from around the world. This was created by a 9-year-old girl in Tucson, Arizona, where I live. And it says, we are all different, we are together. I love this piece so much because it not only does it include humans, but it includes animals and insects and plants and the sun and the moon, and there's even an angel, an extraterrestrial being there. A woman in Japan. This was my very favorite image from the first exchange in 1994. It was by a 5th grade Japanese student. And I love this image so much because to me it expresses the idea, unity of all beings. We don't care what you look like or where you come from. So, and you'll notice that right in the center of the earth is Japan. And when people started sending me images, I started seeing that they always put themselves in the center of the earth. So it can be very enlightening when I show these images to people to see the earth from a different perspective, not just their own. For example, if you live in one of the Hawaiian Islands, this is what your earth looks like. And people are encouraged to not only send artwork, but to send a personal note and a photo of themselves to make it more personal. These are young women in Morocco who created art and sent a letter. These were 2 students in Jerusalem. What's the difference? 11 and a 12-year-old student. I received a letter from one participant, and they said, I drew a picture of the earth and then a bunch of different types of people. Short, tall, white, black, holding hands around the world. Holding hands is a sign of peace. People can't fight if they're holding hands. This was a banner created by an art therapy group in Australia. Many art therapy groups participate. Another participant wrote, for me the most important aspect has been the affirmation that each of us has the ability to not only express our own personal vision, but also to help others see a vision of a better world. And the writing on this piece says, the last unexplored frontier, inner space. When I find peace within myself, then I will find peace all around me. And you'll notice in the center of this image, there are figures in meditative postures. This image says, the goal is world peace, you start here in the heart. And the entire cardiology department of a hospital associated with Duke University participated in the Global Art Project. And I was thrilled that the heart doctors understood that and it was not only it was the doctors, the nurses, the staff, and patients all participated in creating art for peace. And the doctors understood that by healing relationships, you heal the heart. And when you heal on an emotional level, you also heal on a physical level. And the Global Art Project heals on all levels, personal, community, and global. On a personal level, you can't possibly create an artwork without first feeling it inside. And that's the most important part of the project. Each person who creates an artwork has to go inside and make that inner shift to a feeling of peace. They have to shift. They have to believe that peace is possible and release all resistance to that belief. And then on a community level, people come together as part of a community to create their artwork. And then people are encouraged to share their art with their local community. And that can be in a school, a library, a hospital, a gallery, any place where they feel comfortable sharing their art. And finally, on a global level, local communities send their artwork off to form a global community. And as I said, they're often encouraged to have an exhibition of the art that they receive so people in their local community can see this art that has been created from around the world. And it's not just visual art. This is a poet in New York who's holding up the poetry she wrote while she's modeling the handmade clothing she received. And it can be music. This is a family that the father and sons created a song that they sang at their church, and while the mother videotaped it, and they sent the videotape to a family in Hawaii that they were matched with. And many families participate. It's a great way for parents to bring up discussions of peace and conflict with their children. This is a young woman in Romania, and she sent me her artwork with a letter that said, the title of her piece is "The Planet in Our Eyes. The color of our skin is different, but we all see the same world united through peace." And she wrote, "The Global Art Project is the most wonderful thing I ever did. It is so exciting to finally know your match and share your own vision about global peace with that person. It's a unique chance for us to know new people and send good thoughts for making the world the best place to live. The thought of making a gift and working especially for someone you don't know gives you a very big satisfaction. My painting represents a child, the symbol of the purity which hopes for a united world and for a better one. It is the embodiment of all children of the world with all kinds of skin color and color of their eyes and hair." She said, "I am one of those children, and like them, I wish people would all be united through love and peace. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. With love and peace, Andra from Romania." And many hundreds of school children in the United States have participated. These are just a few. I'm going to have to start going faster. So, oh, and this is a school class right here in Istanbul, the Denizati, I hope I'm saying it right, the Denizati Elementary School participated, and this is some of the art they created. This is groups in Morocco that participated. This was a group in the High Atlas Mountains of Morocco. A Peace Corps worker organized this group. And she said, "When I first heard of the Global Art Project, I became very excited. I did the project with a class at middle school in my village. I asked some boys to draw what they thought peace means. One boy drew an incredibly moving drawing. He drew an imam, a rabbi, and a priest standing together. He told me peace is all religions getting along and accepting each other. As a Peace Corps volunteer," you get it, that's great. "As a Peace Corps volunteer, I was blown away by his statement. In a country that is 99.9% Muslim, I was impressed he accepted all faiths. I never thought this project would produce such a heartfelt response from a 13-year-old boy." These are children in the UK, in Australia. The Taiwan Community University in Tainan had 50 students in their class participate, and they got the whole community involved. And they developed a course specifically for them to participate in the Global Art Project. These are children in Mali and Burundi and Ethiopia. This is a class in Cyprus. Many classes in Cyprus have participated. In Indonesia. This is a child in Mexico holding up the piece that he received. And for the last exchange in what was the last year? In 2012, the Beijing Normal University, the Department of Arts and Design, worked with the Department of Education to get 21 schools throughout all of China, including Inner Mongolia, to participate in the exchange. And they had an exhibition of the art at the university in Beijing. This is a class in San Rafael, Argentina, South America. Many schools create murals on the wall, and since you can't send the wall, they take a photograph of the artwork and they enlarge the photograph, and everyone signs the photograph. And you'll notice that South America is right in the center of the earth. So. This was children and artists in Minsk, Belarus created an artwork they titled, these are children who were being rehabilitated from the Chernobyl disaster in a sanatorium. And they created an artwork titled "The Future in Children's Eyes Without Hiroshima and Chernobyl." A church group in Canada, and many adults participate too. It's not just children. This was many groups in Taiwan blocked off a street, and they used recycled materials to create art to send. And 280 people in Japan participated in 1996 during the time of the anniversary of the dropping of the bomb. And there have been hundreds of Global Art Project local exhibitions around the world. This was at Alverno College in the United States. And this was an interactive, a small part of a very large interactive art piece that people participated in. In the Taipei National University of the Arts hosted a Global Art Project exhibition with 600 artists in Taiwan participating. And then in 1998, people kept asking me, where can we go to see the artwork? And there isn't any place you can go because the artists exchange it and keep it as a gift of global friendship. So I thought, well, there has to be some way to show all this energy that happens all over the world. So in 1998, I started a new part of the project called Let's All Join Hands. And I asked people to trace around their hand on a piece of paper, cut it out, put their wish for global peace on one side and their name and country and their native script on the other. And they could embellish it in any way with their ideas for peace. And we've gotten hundreds of thousands of these incredible paper hands for peace. And I'd like to do a book called The Handbook for Peace. And in 1999, we had a Global Art Project exhibition at the Tucson Museum of Art, and there were thousands of paper hands for peace hanging, and there were examples of the art on the wall. For 20 years, the Global Art Project has taught that peace cannot be achieved through violence. It can only be attained through understanding. For the future of the project, I see it continuing to be a light of hope and inspiration for people around the world. Ideas for the project are constantly expanding. I'd like to have a Global Art Project Peace Museum where people can come to see some of the art that's been created, that we can have some of the thousands of paper hands hanging so people could walk through a sea of hands of peace, and it would be a living, growing installation that people can constantly add to. We'd, of course, have administrative offices and studios and where teachers can bring students to learn peace issues and to create art for peace. And of course, I'd like a nice big book. We already have a postcard book of images, but, and we already create posters. But I can see documentary films showing how it affected the artists and their community. So, you know, the ideas are constantly expanding. The Global Art Project teaches that, that the earth is in our hands, that we are responsible for creating our future. We have a choice, and we can choose to create peace. The power lies within ourselves. People joined together with a clear intent have an incredible power to change the world. In closing, I'd like to read to you as my final message to you. It's the message that I've put on every brochure that I've created for the Global Art Project since the beginning. And those words are, it is a time for joining together things which we have taken apart, integration. A blending of energies which have too long been divided. A cloth that has not been a cloth, but many separate threads, is now being woven together by the hands of artisans and creative personalities who have an understanding of the earth as a unified organism. We are not separate, we are not alone. It is a time of great coming together, a time of great celebration of our love for ourselves and the land which nourishes us. It is a labor of joy with hands united. Our breaths merge with that of earth energies, which merge with that of cosmic energies. Greater cooperation and understanding of the laws of whole systems can be shared through ones such as yourselves, who are open to the beauty of the universe and your place in it. It is a joy to be of service in this endeavor. May our work flower to surpass even our most glorious visions of peace on earth. And with the energy that I've been feeling in this room tonight, and with the love that I've been feeling in this room tonight, I know that it has already happened. Yes. Yes. All together, yes.
Thank you.